Hi guys, and welcome back to the world of 28mm. I'm Adam, and this is Mordheim Buildings episode 2.
So we're going to start off this project with the 5 pieces that I pre-cut out. We've got a 5" by 4" base, two 3.5" by 3.5" squares, a 2 by 2" square, and a 2 by 3.5" rectangle. We'll start off by just roughing up our walls. So I've taken the 2" by 2" there and left one edge with part of a flat on. We'll come back to that later. Once you're happy with your shapes, we're just going to hot glue them down. Then we're going to adhere down the 2 larger pieces, the 3.5 by 3.5" walls. Now I haven't chopped into these yet. It's because I want to make sure I get the right cover. I intend this building to have specific cover. So I'm going to wait until I install the floor and then I'll chop it down. So the floor I'm installing now is literally just a scrap piece that I picked up off the table and thought, yep, that one will do. It's important to mark out where your floor is going to be. So if you've got 2" floors or 2.5" floors or 3" floors, then you're going to want to just put a quick mark just to signify where the floor is going to go. So once again, I've just taken a scrap piece off my table and hot glued it in onto the shorter wall. We're just going to hack away at those top walls to make sure I've got the correct cover, and then use some models just to make sure everything's correct. So we're going to follow suit of the first video by beveling all the edges and then roughing them up, taking some wedges out to make it look a bit more ruined. You'll notice this time I haven't beveled the base. That's purely because some players like to have beveled bases, like myself. I like the smooth transition. Some people don't. I've had a couple of quite interesting conversations. Someone was saying to me that they prefer non-beveled bases, so then there's no argument between players of where that terrain starts and where that terrain finishes. It's fairly logical. So I've just done it this way with no beveling, just to show that you can do it. So now to install the windows and doors. So all I'm doing here is putting the window on, tracing a rough outline, and then taking a small hobby blade and just cutting out that square. It's important to remember to cut on the inside of the square. This just gives you a little bit of surface for the window to adhere to. And then finally for the door, so that flat edge that I left earlier on the small 2 by 2 piece, I'm going to take one of the recast original Mordheim door. I'm just going to chop it to pieces. Now we're only going to use one of the pillars this time, but if you're using this specific door, or you have a door that you're using for this project, keep the pieces. We will be revisiting this piece on the next episode with some little extras. So once you're happy with your windows and doors, next up we're just going to give it some rubble and some sand. So once again I'm going in with some neat PVA and randomly placing around some rocks and stones so it makes it look like rubble. And it doesn't have to be specifically, rocks like I'm using there. I am also throwing scrap bits of foam board on there and anything I can get my hands on. I've gone ahead and given the piece an undercoat of Barely Black from Wilko's, and this is just covering a technique that I didn't get on camera last time. So I've mixed some Wilko's Surf and After Hours. They're a light blue and a dark blue, just to get a nice royal or regal blue. And then we're going to take a sponge, dip it into the paint, use a bit of newspaper or cardboard, kitchen towel, anything like that will soak it up, take the moisture off, and then just dab it on, and then rinse and repeat until you get the effect that you want. Then just to finish everything up, we're just going to, when my head's not in the way, we're going to paint up the windows, just a bog standard grey. This was Wilko's Cozy Grey. And at the same time, I did this off camera, is dry brush the stones and the sand on the inside of the building, just to make everything pop. I used the same grey for that, Cozy Grey, and also this time I used an extra highlight of crushed almond.
And there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Now, just before we sign off, I'd just like to say, if you're doing a build along, or you're following this as I'm going along and you're making your own buildings, hold on to this one, because we're going to reuse it next week and we're going to pimp it up a little bit. Okay? So, like it if you've liked it, share if you think anyone else would like to see it, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for the next episode. Have fun, guys.